Subscribe to my channel Report Stock.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to unpack complex topics and give you the key insights.
All right.
Today, we're plunging into Athlon Medical. They're working on some pretty cutting-edge medical therapeutics.
Very much so. A really interesting space.
We've been digging into their latest numbers, the financial results, and corporate updates, specifically from their fiscal first quarter ending June 30, 2025.
Yeah, the Q1 results.
So our mission today, to cut through the jargon, really get to grips with their main device, the hemopurifier. We want to look at its potential, across different diseases and check out the company's financial health.
See what's really significant there.
Exactly. And honestly, there's some surprising progress in some tough medical areas and some smart strategic moves too. Okay, let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
So at the very heart of Athlon Medical's innovation is this device, the hemopurifier. For you listening, think of it like a highly specialized filter for your blood.
That's a good way to put it. It's designed to target and remove specific harmful things floating around.
And what kinds of things are we talking about?
Well, two main targets right now, enveloped viruses, and really importantly for their current trials, tumor-derived extracellular vesicles, EVs for short.
EVs. Okay.
It all happens extracorporeally, so outside the body. Bit like dialysis in that sense. Blood goes out, plasma gets separated.
Right.
Then that plasma goes through the system. It uses physical filtering, size exclusion, but the really clever bit is this affinity binding. It uses a plant lectin resin called GNA.
GNA sounds technical. How does that work?
Think of it like this. These harmful EVs and viruses, they have sort of a unique sugar coating, like a barcode made of mannose. The GNA resin is like a magnet specifically for that barcode.
Okay, so it grabs onto them.
Exactly. It latches onto those mannose-rich surfaces, pulling them out of the plasma before it's returned to the body. And why that matters, especially for cancer, well, these EVs from solid tumors, they're thought to help cancer spread metastasize and also help tumors resist treatments like immunotherapy and chemo.
So the hemopurifier is trying to disrupt that whole process.
Precisely. Potentially making other cancer treatments work better by removing those resistance factors.
That sounds, well, incredibly significant. And I saw it has a breakthrough device designation from the US FDA. What does that actually mean in practice?
It's a big deal. The FDA gives this designation when they believe a device could offer more effective treatment for life-threatening conditions, especially where there aren't good alternatives, or it's a big step up from what exists.
Oh, it speeds things up.
It can, yes. It provides prioritized review, more interaction with the FDA, but it also, raises expectations. It signals that this is potentially a very important technology.
A vote of confidence, but also pressure to deliver.
Exactly. High potential, high scrutiny.
Okay, so we understand the science. The big question then is, how's it doing in, actual human trials? Which brings us to the Australian oncology trial.
Right. This is where the rubber meets the road. This trial is looking at the hemopurifier in patients with solid tumors cancers that haven't responded to anti-PD-1 immunotherapy.
That's things like Keytruda or Opdivo.
Exactly. Pembrolizumab, nivolumab. The issue is only about 30–40% of patients get a lasting benefit from those drugs. And the thinking is that these tumor EVs are part of the reason why, helping the cancer evade the therapy.
And I read the first group of patients, the first cohort, they've completed treatment.
Yes, that's the recent news. The first cohort of 3 participants is complete, and this is where it gets really interesting.
Okay, tell me.
The safety results were positive. All 3 participants tolerated the 4-hour treatment well. No device-related issues, no immediate complications.
That's critical.
Absolutely. And importantly, at the 7-day safety follow-up, no device-related serious adverse events or what they call dose-limiting toxicities.
Any issues at all?
Well, sadly, 1 participant did pass away later due to their disease progressing, but it was explicitly stated this was unrelated to the hemopurifier treatment itself. That's always a risk in these patient populations, unfortunately.
Understood. So positive safety overall for the device.
Yes. And that led to the Independent Data Safety Monitoring Board, the DSMB, taking a look.
All right, the DSMB.
Yeah.
They reviewed things on July 11th.
They did. And based on that initial safety data, they gave the green light. They recommended advancing to the second treatment cohort.
And what does that involve?
The second cohort involves 2 hemopurifier treatments within a single week, so intensifying the therapy slightly.
Okay, double treatment. And I saw something about the protocol changing for this second cohort, too.
Yes, a smart adjustment. They amended the protocol to broaden who can join the trial. Now, patients receiving either monotherapy or combination therapy that includes pembrolizumab or nivolumab are eligible.
Why is that significant?
It just better reflects how these drugs are actually used in practice now, and it opens the trial up to more potential participants, makes the results potentially more relevant.
Got it. So safety looks good. They're moving to cohort 2.
Yeah.
What else are they looking for in this trial? It's not just safety, right?
No, exactly. The trial aims for about 9 to 18 participants overall, and while the main goal, the primary endpoint, is safety, they're also doing exploratory work. They're collecting samples which are being analyzed at the University of Sydney. They want to see if reducing the concentration of those EVs in the blood actually helps the patient's own immune system fight the tumor better.
So measuring the biological effect.
Precisely. Trying to get early signs of efficacy. Initial observations from those analyses are expected around September 2025. This kind of data is crucial for planning bigger trials down the line, maybe even what's called a pre-market approval, or PMA, study needed for market access.
Okay, so a lot riding on that Australian trial. But they were also planning something in India, weren't they? What happened there?
That's right. It's an interesting strategic point. They actually received approval from India's regulatory body, the CDSCO, to start a similar oncology trial there. But they decided ultimately not to proceed with it for now.
Oh, why pull back after getting approval? Seems counterintuitive.
Well, their reasoning points to a couple of things. One was the timeline they projected the first patient wouldn't actually be treated until early 2026. That's quite a wait.
Okay, time delay.
And the other factor was weighing the projected costs against their overall strategic priorities. Running multiple international trials is expensive.
So it was about focus.
Essentially, yes. They decided to concentrate their resources, financial and operational, on the Australian trial to generate that key clinical data faster. The goal being to get the data needed for a potential PMA trial as efficiently as possible.
Makes sense. Focus the firepower where it counts most right now.
That seems to be the strategy.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Because the hemopurifier isn't just being looked at for cancer, is it? There's other potential.
Absolutely. The mechanism removing these EVs and certain viruses could have much broader applications. And there's some really interesting preclinical data emerging.
Preclinical, so lab-based studies.
Exactly. There was a study published on BioRxiv that's a preprint server, so it's currently under peer review, but the results were pretty striking.
What did it show?
It was an ex vivo study, meaning they used healthy human plasma in the lab, simulating a 4-hour treatment. They found the hemopurifier, using that GNA resin, removed 98.5% of platelet-derived extracellular vesicles, PDEVs.
98.5%. That sounds very high.
It's incredibly efficient, and the reason PDEVs are interesting is because high levels of them are linked to a whole host of conditions.
Not just cancer.
No, much broader. Things like lupus, systemic sclerosis, multiple sclerosis, even Alzheimer's disease, sepsis, and also acute and long COVID.
Wow, okay, so removing these PDEVs could theoretically help in many different areas.
That's the potential, yes. What's fascinating here is just how broadly this kind of mechanism targeting EVs might apply.
Which leads us nicely into the long COVID work. I saw Ethlon has partnered with a clinic at UCSF.
Yes, the University of California, San Francisco Medical Center's long COVID clinic. And this is obviously a huge public health challenge right now.
Definitely. We hear so much about it.
The scale is immense. Estimates are, 44 to 48 million people in the U.S. alone dealing with persistent symptoms after COVID. The economic impact is staggering, maybe $2 billion just for those with symptoms over a year.
And still no specific treatments.
Exactly. That's the critical unmet need. And interestingly, these extracellular vesicles, EVs, have been implicated in driving some of the long COVID pathology.
So the hemopurifier might be able to help by removing them.
That's the hypothesis. And they presented some initial research findings supporting this at the Keystone Symposium just recently, August 12th.
What did that show?
It showed that both large and small EVs taken from the blood of long COVID patients actually bound effectively to the GNA lectin, the core component of the hemopurifier's resin.
So confirming the target is there and the device can grab it.
Precisely. It supports the idea that the hemopurifier could potentially be useful for these individuals. Early days, but very promising.
Okay, fascinating potential beyond cancer. But all this science, all these trials, they cost money. How is Ethlon doing financially? What's their operational health like?
Yeah. That's always the crucial question for companies at this stage. And actually, the Q1 numbers show some pretty significant progress on efficiency.
Oh.
In what way? Their consolidated operating expenses for the first quarter of fiscal 2025 were about $1.8 million.
Okay. Is that good or bad?
Well, compare it to the same period last year, 2024, it's a decrease of roughly 31.6%. That's about $800,000 less in spending.
Wow. Nearly a third reduction. That's substantial.
It really is. It shows a strong focus on managing costs.
Where did those savings come from?
It breaks down across a few areas. Payroll and related costs were down by about $674,000. That was mainly because there was a severance expense in the prior year that wasn't repeated, plus lower headcount overall.
Okay.
Professional fees, things like legal, scientific consulting, audit fees, contract labor, they decreased by around $138,000, though some of that was offset by increased investor relations costs.
Right.
And then general and administrative costs dipped slightly too, by about $17,000, mostly due to lower insurance costs, although clinical trial expenses did go up a bit, as you'd expect.
So the net effect of all that cost cutting.
The bottom line improved. The operating loss for the quarter dropped to $1.8 million, down from $2.6 million the year before. Net loss also improved.
And their cash position. How much runway does that give them?
As of June 30, 2025, they reported a cash balance of approximately $3.8 million.
$3.8 million. For a company running clinical trials,
Yeah.
that expense reduction seems pretty vital then.
Absolutely vital. It extends how long that cash will last their financial runway. It buys them more time to get results from that key Australian trial. It lines up with what the CEO, James Frakes, has been saying about focusing on driving the hemopurifier towards approval while being operationally efficient.
Makes sense. They're tightening the belt to support the science.
That's the picture, yeah.
Okay, so let's recap this deep dive into Athlon Medical. We've seen the hemopurifier making definite progress in the Australian cancer trial, particularly on the safety front.
Yes, clearing that first cohort hurdle was key.
We've seen strategic decisions like focusing resources by pausing the India trial for now.
A calculated move for efficiency.
And we've explored its really quite remarkable potential in other areas, like long COVID, backed by some compelling preclinical and early research findings.
The breadth of potential applications is definitely noteworthy.
And all of this is happening alongside a much tighter, more efficient financial operation.
Stretching every dollar, which is crucial.
If we step back and connect this to the bigger picture, what does it tell us?
Well, I think it really highlights the kind of innovation that's needed. We're tackling these really complex diseases, advanced cancers that resist current therapies, persistent conditions like long COVID, where there's just nothing specific available yet. Technologies like the hemopurifier represent a different approach, targeting these underlying mechanisms like EVs.
It's about finding new angles when the old ones aren't enough.
Exactly. It gives hope for patients facing these really difficult diagnoses.
So as we wrap up, here's something to think about. Given this mechanism removing EVs, specifically PDEVs, which are linked to so many conditions, what else could this technology potentially target?
That's a great question.
We talked cancer, long COVID, MS, lupus, but what other diseases, maybe ones not even on Athlon's immediate radar yet, might involve these extracellular vesicles in a way that this device could help?
The list could be quite long, theoretically.
How might this targeted removal of EVs actually change treatment approaches more broadly in the coming years? It feels like it could be more than just one device for one or two diseases.
It definitely points towards a new way of thinking about modulating the body's internal environment to fight disease.
Something for you to ponder. That's all for this deep dive. Thanks for joining us.
Subscribe to my channel Report Stock.